Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am back, continuing on with 60 Nights of Fright, turned into 90 Nights of Fright. Since I continued on into November, of course, last week's episode, I took a bit of a break and actually uploaded a older episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed listening to that again. If you listened to it for the first time, appreciate listening for the first time. If you remember that episode from way back when, hopefully you enjoyed listening to it again. But here we are, episode 358. And like I said in the opener, talking about the Predator franchise. And I decided to do this episode to go along with the release of the new Predator Badlands movie that just came out here Friday, and everything. I haven't got a chance to see it just yet, but I do plan on seeing it at some point. But I decided, I'm going to talk about, this Predator franchise because it does fall into the horror genre to a degree, especially the first two movies, I will say, and I will talk more about that when I get into talking about the films and everything. But yeah, I just kind of decided, to talk about this franchise that, like I said, has the horror elements, it has a lot of sci-fi, and of course it has a lot of action throughout the course of this franchise, which one thing I do enjoy about the horror genre. There are so many sub-genres of the horror genre that you can talk about movies like this and it still feels very much like horror and everything. So I mean, it's kind of interesting where this franchise started nearly 40 years ago, back in 1987, and everything, where it was this pretty much, this alien hunter in the jungle, and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bunch of folks, trying to survive. And then you end up in LA with Danny Glover in them cow moose pants or whatever the hell those was he was wearing and everything like that. And all the way up to where we are now with a predator that may or may not be the spawn of a predator and a human getting together or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie yet, so that's just me speculating off of little things I got from the trailer, or whatever. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite franchises to watch over the years, and just like I say, the evolution of the franchise in itself. I mean, there are some ones that I really enjoy. Of course, there are a few that not so much, and everything. But let's get into talking about this franchise. So, like I said earlier, the franchise, it kicks off in 1987 with the OG film Predator, which gives that perfect blend, I feel like, of horror and action. Because one thing about the Predator movie, similar to how I feel about the first Alien movie, those are horror films just with a sci-fi edge to them. And the difference here is that this one has a lot of freaking action. I mean, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, in the 80s. So, of course, you're going to have a lot of freaking action, right? And one thing about this film that I always enjoy is that we don't get to see the Predator in the very beginning. Similar to Jaws, it's that buildup of, okay, we're going to give you POV shots. We're going to give little glimpses, like when the Predator is in its in this little cloak and everything, so you just kind of like, what the hell is that? And even you have certain characters, like, they see like, wait, what is that? Like, am I seeing things? Like, what the hell is that? Right? And then when we finally get to see it full on, and it's like, this thing is scary as shit. Right? I mean, the fact that you had the late Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator, who the guy is like 7'1", so he was already a big dude, and then putting him in this design by Stan Winston and everything, it, like I say, it's probably like one of the coolest creature of effects that you see in any type of a movie. And I mean, Stan Winston himself, I mean, dude is known for like some great special effects. I mean, one of my favorites is the creature's design in Pumpkinhead, which he did and everything, right? But this one is right up there as well, because it's like, no, he's not a person, but the way he moves, and then of course the whole thing with the Predator having dreadlocks, and it's like, okay, I wonder how did they come up with that. Granted, this was not the original design. I mean, the original design was, I don't know what the hell that thing was supposed to be, and the fact that they had Jean-Claude Van Damme in that suit, and I mean the behind the scenes story about that, and why Van Damme ended up, not being the Predator, even though there are like a few instances of takes that he was the Predator that are still in the movie, but because of how they did it, there's no type of reference to the version of the Predator that he was in the film, and everything. But yeah, it's just like I say, the Predator in this movie just looks dope, and for people to see that for the first time, I'm pretty sure it's like, what the hell is that, type of thing. Let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger as our final guy and everything. And I'll make that joke because of the episode I did a while back of The Final Girls of Horror. Well, I actually could do a Final Guys of Horror if I really wanted to. And everything. Who's to say I won't at some point, and everything. But Dutch, he is the ultimate, survivor in this movie. He is the final guy, because the way this movie plays out is like a slasher movie. People get taken out one by one until you have your final, person to take on the monster. And in this case, Arnold is the final guy, and everything. But I think this is like one of Arnold's best roles and everything. And he doesn't do anything what you say like that is overly Arnold-ish. I mean, yeah, he has the line like to stick around, that whole thing when they go into the little battle with the Colombians or whatever. But overall, he's very much, he's very much thinking, and it's like, okay, he's processing. And in some ways, him and the Predator are like different sides of the same coin, because as the Predator is learning about the individuals that he's hunting, when things really start, getting crazy, Dutch is the one who's like, okay, why would the thing do this? Why? Oh, it can bleed, then we can kill it. He starts to learn as much about how to take out the Predator and vice versa, which I always think that's something that kind of doesn't get talked about a lot, is that even though the Predator is learning about how these men are, but also Dutch is continuously learning about things and ways to defeat the Predator. And in the end, he does, even though it is some nonsense, the fact that he just survives on sheer luck, because the Predator realized that, oh, you tried to trap me in here. All right, I'm gonna just go around. And Dutch is like, oh, you just positioned in a better spot. This is actually better, and kick the stick and bam, and takes out the Predator and everything. But yeah, I mean, Predator is one of those movies that you can always revisit, have a lot of fun with. I mean, of course, the classic lines throughout the movie, and freaking Jesse Ventura with a lot of the nonsense that he's spewing throughout the movie, and the fact that he's rocking the old MTV shirt that he unfortunately gets shot through, and everything. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then of course you have Little Richard's Long John Sally, that has kind of become synonymous with the franchise, which is kind of weird that song has become, like, when you think about Predator, you think about, I'm gonna have me some fun tonight, right? And how people still, use that song, whether they watching the original movie or even like going to see the other movies. In some way, somehow, someone always finds a way to incorporate that song into a video. And even in the one that Robert Rodriguez was a part of, how that is the song that plays at the end of that movie, and everything. So let's move on to Predator 2, which I actually reviewed here a long time ago back on the podcast, and everything. This one has actually become like my favorite to just revisit over the years. Now, I'm not saying that it is necessarily better than the first movie, because the first two movies are great in their own right, so I don't even really compare it like that. But this one, I would say that I revisit even more so than I do with the original film. And I think what makes this one so unique is the fact that you take him out of the jungle and you put him into a different type of a jungle, and it's an urban setting because it's in LA, 1997, the hottest summer of all time, basically. And you swap out, the macho guy Arnold Schwarzenegger for Danny Glover, who, it's weird that Danny Glover was not the original choice either. It was actually supposed to be Patrick Swayze playing this part, but because he hurt his knee filming Roadhouse is why he couldn't do this. And it's like, I think this would have been a completely different movie if Patrick Swayze did make this movie. But I'm actually glad that we do get Danny Glover, and I always like to say this is a Murtaugh in a different universe without having a Riggs as his partner. And I mean, Harrigan is like this. I think one thing that kind of gets lost is that people look at the physical, appearance of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's like, oh, he's just a buff macho guy. But Danny Glover, he's a large man as well. And I mean, no, he doesn't have the muscular, physique that Arnold had, but he's still a large freaking man. And him running around, like I said earlier, in those damn moose or cow pants or whatever the hell them things were, I know he was sweating like crazy. And that mustard shirt, like, who came up with that fit? But everybody fit in this movie is kind of ridiculous, but that's a whole nother story too. But I mean, he gives a great performance as well. I mean, he's full of testosterone, and he's running around with that shotgun, and he's taking the fight to the predator also at certain points. Like, no, he's hunting the predator and chasing him around as much as the predator is coming after him, and everything. And like I said, I think it's one of Danny Glover's best performances, and the fact that people only kind of associate Danny Glover as being like Lieutenant Murtaugh. Well, Sergeant Murtaugh, actually. And, thinking that he was like in his 50s, where in real life, Danny Glover was only in his mid 40s when he made this movie. And like, this is like one of the few times where he's like playing closer to his actual age and everything. So of course, that's why he's running around and, and jumping and doing all this crazy stuff that he does in this movie. I would not be doing myself a service if I did not talk about probably one of my favorite scenes of this movie. And ironically, it has nothing to do with any of the main characters. It's actually a small glorified cameo, really, by character actor Calvin Lockhart, who plays King Willie, the Prince of Powder. And the whole standoff with him and the predator in that damn alley. And I mean, anyone who, like I say, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you remember the episode I did where I talked about, things that go down in the alley. And this is one of those movies of where, something crazy happens in a freaking alley and everything, because after Harrigan, who went to see King Willie, and they're talking or whatever, and he pretty much sends Harrigan on his way with not really any real information, because I always chalk it up that King Willie was high as hell in this scene, but that's just me or my thought process about that. So after he leaves, you think, oh, okay, well, why is it still lingering on Willie? And it's like, oh, well, the predator was listening. So the predator basically is like, oh, you think you somebody because you have on this battle plate and you got this sword and everything. So the predator, I guess, looked at him as, as competition in a way. And Willie, I mean, he doesn't back down. He starts, rambling something, and he pulls out the sword. He's like, all right, I'm ready for action. And the only thing I don't like is the fact that we don't get an actual fight between the two. But I feel like the way it's cut, no pun intended, the way it's cut is a little bit scary, because that shot of the predator walking away and King Willie's severed head still yelling as he's walking away, that always kind of freaked me out as a kid. But Willie was always he was a badass character, even though he has a small amount of screen time, and the way they make it look as if he wasn't a real competition for the predator. But I like to believe that Willie, he gave the predator a few good swings with that sword. I like to believe that, at least, before the Predator, decapitated him and then made him a trophy on his wall and everything, on the ship and everything. But the Prince of Powder, King Willie, he went out, he went out like a G, I would say. I feel like I want to believe that. And also too, with this second movie, it expanded what we knew about the Predators and the fact that, they don't just come to Earth, one individual. It could be a whole freaking clan of Predators, and just have one that goes out and does a lot of the, hunting and everything. And also too, we find out that, they go to other planets, because once we get to that shot of the trophy case on the Predator ship and you see all the different skulls and everything, clearly those are not just skulls from Earth and everything, because the big one is, of course, that we get the xenomorph skull up there, and it's like, yeah, they didn't ran up against those bad boys at some point. And then of course we get a whole, offshoot of AVP, movies and stuff like that. How it's like, this actually takes place in the same universe, which it would make sense when you think about it, and also how they do it. But yeah, this movie expands upon, the lore and also what the Predators are, to a degree. And everything. Like I said, it's always a lot of fun to, like I said, just go back and watch that movie and just have fun with it, and everything. So then, now I'm only talking about the Predator. I will talk about the AVP films because they come out in between the next film I'm going to mention, and I'm talking about 2010's Predators, where we kind of go back to the jungle, but not really, because we end up on a hunting planet. And it's almost like Call of Duty Warzone to a degree, where you just kind of like dropped in, and it's like, you got to survive in this hostile environment, and this motley crew of people that's been assembled. And I would say the cast for this movie is always insane to me, because you have Adrian Brody as the main character, and everything, but you got the people like Danny Trejo shows up for like a few seconds, really. You got Topher Grace in here. You have Mahershala Ali. You have Walton Goggins doing what Walton Goggins do, just talk a bunch of shit and everything like that. But I enjoy the cast in this movie, and I do like how they kind of, in a way, pay homage to the original with this film to a degree. Also, you have Lawrence Fishburne here as well, and everything. And like I say, it's a fun movie. I remember seeing this movie at the movie theater, had a lot of fun with it, and everything. And this movie also shows like the different hierarchy when it comes to the different predators, and like, there's different clans of predators. Because again, the first two movies is just, we think it's just one type of predator. This movie shows you like, no, there is a hierarchy. Like there are different levels to the predators, and some look down on the ones that we were introduced to. They feel that they are even higher than those predators, and then you get predator versus predator in certain cases and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of interesting, the whole concept of a Hunger Games type of situation where people get abducted and then they get put on this game, preserve is like, the deadliest game type of situation, and just trying to fight, to survive and the thing. Here we do get to see what, and I feel like that's why this scene was put into this movie, is because of the fact that we don't get to see the sword fight with King Willie and the Predator in Predator 2. Here we get the Yakuza assassin. He has that fight with the Predator, and the fact that he goes out, like a G, basically. I really enjoy that scene a lot, and like I say, this movie is fun also. I think fans of it, fans do enjoy it because of the homages that it do have to the first two movies to a degree, and everything. But sometimes predators kind of get lost in the shuffle when we're talking about like the Predator movies for some reason. But the ironic thing about it is that because of the success of this movie and everything, it's what rebooted the franchise as a solo thing, entirely, because like I say, the AVP movies both of them have come out before this movie, but as far as a solo Predator movie, this was the first one that we've had in over a decade, basically like 20 years almost. No, it was 20 years, yeah, and everything. So because of this is why they feel, okay, well, people want more Predator movies, so 2018 comes along and we get The Predator, and it's another movie that has a good cast, but the execution of this movie was not that great. And the fact that you have the likes of Boyd Holbrook, Sterling K. Brown, you have Keegan Michael Key, Thomas Jane, Trevante Rhodes, you have a pretty freaking good cast. Olivia Munn also. Yeah, like I said, the movie has a good cast. It's just the execution of it was not that great. And the movie does have moments. And the fact that Shane Black came back to the franchise, because he hasn't been a part of the franchise since his role as Hawkins in the original Predator. But he comes back to the franchise. He directed this one. But the problem is that this movie doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. And anytime a movie doesn't know exactly what it wants to be, it's hard for audiences to kind of latch on to it and enjoy it. Because at certain points, is this movie a comedy or is this movie a horror, action movie? It doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. And you just kind of like, all right, it is what it is. Everything just kind of felt wrong when watching this movie and everything. And I actually did see this movie at the movie theater, but I did not have as much fun with it as I did with Predators. And again, it's like the movie was trying too hard. And I think if they would have just kind of let it be, kind of go natural with certain things and just let it be a Predator movie, I think it would have done fine. But they were just trying to do too much. And then that ending with this whole battle suit, and it's like, okay, now Boyd Holbrook is going to be like a space hunting Iron Man. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, what are we doing right now? Like, come on. Like, it just feels like there was a missed opportunity with this movie, especially the fact that you had this CGI giant Predator running around and everything. I feel like they kind of missed the opportunity of kind of expanding on the whole thing about the hierarchy of the Predators, and you could have got a Predator war story. Like if they really wanted to do it, you could have had like Predator, versus Predator basically going on here. But they didn't do it. And like I say, this movie, in a way, it almost killed the Predator franchise. It really did, because people did not like this movie. Like I say, are there certain parts of it that I do enjoy? Yes, but overall, I do not like this movie as much as, especially the first two. The Predators, I enjoy it, but I don't really rewatch it as much. Maybe I should. Because like I said, I have fun with the movie. Just I don't go back and watch it as much. So some time goes by and we get a new Predator movie, but it's not Predator, it's called Prey, and it was a Hulu movie. And everything, which is still kind of interesting that this movie did not play at the movie theater. It really should have played at the movie theater. Especially after seeing it, because I remember when I think people were kind of reserved, like, I don't know, like, why is this going straight to streaming and everything? I don't know about this and everything. But Dan Trachtenberg, I think he did a excellent job with this movie. And the fact that you take the franchise back in time, so you go back to a primitive time, quote unquote. And when I only say that because there's no technology really, and the fact that you make your main characters Native Americans, and the whole thing about Nara, who's our main character, and how not only is she the only woman, but you never really have a woman at the focal point of the Predator franchise. Now, of course, we have it in Alien with Ripley, right? But this was the first time a woman, was the main focus of a Predator film. And I think it does a great job of not only showing her arc as trying to be accepted by her older brother and his friends, because she wants to be a hunter just like them and everything. But then when things get crazy, she is the one that's forward thinking. The rest of them, I mean, her brother, he, to a degree, I think if she was not in the story, I think the brother would have been a very good lead character, because he does sacrifice himself for her. But because you have Nara as the main character, she's the one that's constantly thinking forward and everything, and she figures out the way how to kill the Predator in the end, where the guys didn't. I mean, her brother, he basically sacrificed himself, like, no, I'm going to distract him long enough for you to get away. But he didn't like think of a way like, how can I do this? She basically used his own technology against him, and everything. But what's funny about this movie too is that the Predator is not the true villain of this freaking movie. Them damn Frenchmen trappers were the true villains of this movie. And it's funny how this movie and The Revenant both show similar type characters doing some nonsense and they basically get what they deserve, especially in this movie, because they tried to set a trap and then they end up getting caught in their own damn trap by the Predator. And they all went out exactly how they deserved to go out, especially that fat one that was just yelling and rambling and just I couldn't wait for him to get got. But I mean, what do you expect? They got there with them rifles that you had, every time you shoot you had to basically pour powder in it and stuff it down in there. It's like, that's how you reload? Like, y'all going up against this creature with advanced technology. Y'all out here, I mean, granted, it was the sign of the time, so it's not really their fault, but it still was just funny. Like, Predators out there just, bow, 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 and they out there like, yelling "Zapate" and all this type of stuff, and just stuffing damn powder down into the barrel and everything, which is like insane. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie. It's a great movie, and I think this is where people really got re-energized about the Predator franchise once again. And it also didn't hurt that you had the OG cast, a lot of them coming out giving this film praise, giving Amber Mid-Thunder a lot of praise for her performance, as Nara and everything, which was a great thing to see, and everything. And I know, like myself and a lot of other people who've seen it, with the way the movie ends, like, well, because she gets the 1715 gun, which, the first time we saw it was at the end of Predator 2. And of course there is a backstory about that gun, which I always said that there should be a movie about that, about how that gun and why it's so important and everything. But I know a lot of people wanted a direct sequel to Prey, but we probably won't get it. But I would not be surprised if we don't get more of Nara, because if you've seen Predator Killer of Killers, there's a possibility that not only Nara might return, but also Dutch could return, and hell, Harrigan could even return in some way, form, or fashion, because they pretty much, kidnap, the champions and everything and stuff like that, or whatever. But one final thing I'm talking about Prey is that it does a great job of blending practical effect with CGI. And I think that's one thing that hurt the Predator, is that they lean too heavily on the CGI stuff, whereas with Prey, you got a good blend of practical stuff as well as the CGI stuff. So like I say, it's a great balance. I feel like Prey is what the Predator should have been to a degree, and everything. So yeah, so I mean, so those are pretty much the Predator movies. Now let's talk about the Predator character itself. I mean, like I say, you could almost put him in the same class of like a Jason Voorhees, a Michael Myers, Leatherface, hell, even the Xenomorph from Alien, right? But what kind of makes him different in a sense is he's kind of both at the same time. Yes, it is a creature from another planet, different galaxy and stuff like that. But also too, it is this very smart hunter, and similar to like the slasher killers and everything in slasher horror films, he does stalk his prey, no pun intended, and everything, and he looks for, okay, who is worthy enough to where I just want to square up with. Because one thing about the OG Predator, the second Predator movie, those predators, they want to fight, and they look for the person who they deemed worthy, that they feel would be a good opponent. Dutch was a very good opponent in the first movie, and Harrigan is a very good opponent in the second movie. Even though the Predator in the second movie, he does taunt Harrigan. He's kind of very petty, because after he killed Danny Boy and everything, and when Harrigan is out at Danny's gravesite and everything, and the necklace that Danny wore, he hangs it on a tree and is basically like, yeah, I got you, boy. Like, this is, I got him. You want me, come find me. And basically that's what he kind of, it's like a cat and mouse game between these two in that movie. The first Predator, I mean, he pretty much takes out, everybody. And then when it comes to Arnold, it's like, oh, okay, it's like, okay, there's something a little different about you. You know what? I could easily kill you with my Wolverine claws. Not gonna do that. I could easily kill you with this damn cannon on my shoulder. I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna fight. We're gonna fight, and we're gonna see who's the better person and everything. Even though that Predator beat the hell out of Dutch, but that's another story. But yeah, it's a great blend of, it's alien, but also too is very smart. It's a very smart creature and everything. And then too, the fact that with what we find out in Predator 2, with the whole xenomorph skull, and then that's when we get the whole thing about, the Alien versus Predator universe, and it's like, oh, okay, we're connecting the two worlds, universes basically, and we do get the Alien versus Predator film. The first one, you had Sanaa Lathan, which I always in my head canon, I always like to say that she's related to Harrigan to some degree, or whatever. And I think she does a great job in that movie. The first movie is really fun because it kind of gives you a bit of both. It gives you that alien kind of, trapped, aspect, but then also too, got to survive against the Predator. And then we have the Alien versus the Predators and stuff like that. And of course the Queen running around and all this. And then the fact that the Predator links up with Sanaa Lathan and they team up to try to defeat this damn Queen alien and everything. And I mean, it would be nice if we got more Alien versus Predator. And from certain things that I'm hearing about Badlands, that they kind of allude to that to a degree. So who's to say that we don't get another AVP movie, especially after what Requiem was, which, I mean, that movie, I think everyone kind of agrees that is not a good movie, for the simple fact of, why did they film that movie damn near in the dark or whatever? But yeah, it would be cool if we did get another Alien versus Predator, or hell, if we got like Predator versus Colonial Marines, because you could do that if you really wanted to. There's so many different avenues, I feel like, that they could go with, not just the universe itself, but even with the Predator. Like, what they're doing with Badlands is making the Predator like the main character. He's the main focus of this movie. And this is the first time in the franchise he's like our hero to a degree, which is kind of odd, but it's a different avenue they're going. And the fact that Dan Trachtenberg is like, they pretty much gave him the keys to the Predator universe, and it's like, okay, you're 3 for 3 right now, with how Badlands is shaping up. I mean, it's gonna be a success, and everything. People seem to really enjoy it, but Prey was a surprise hit. Predator, Killer of Killers, even though it's animated and everything, people really like the story and also expanding the universe. So he's 3 for 3 right now. So just let this man cook is what I say. Let him cook and continuously just take this franchise, to new heights and, continuously be a success with it. And everything. So one other thing I want to talk about here, and I want to ask you guys, the listeners, and I'm going to post this on threads, on my threads, the J Giles. I'm going to post it there. Also, I'll probably put it up over on the YouTube channel as well. Because if you listen on YouTube, definitely comment down below how you feel about the Predator franchise, the world that they've, built surrounding it, and what you guys would like to see going forward with the Predator. But the question I'm going to ask is, what's your favorite Predator film and why? Now, my favorite as far as a movie is still the first one. But the one that I have the most fun going back and watching is actually the second one. I know it might sound kind of strange, but it is what it is. Like I said, I have more fun just revisiting the second one and everything. Not saying I don't have fun going back and watching the first one, because the first one is still my favorite, but I just have more fun going back watching the second movie and just with all the shenanigans that goes on in that movie and everything. And I just really enjoy seeing the Predator kind of being shown again in a strong, positive light. And it's interesting enough, I just was thinking about this as I'm recording, that it would kind of be cool if we got a TV series similar to how they're doing Alien Earth and everything. It'd be cool if we got a TV series that focus more on the Predators and everything. I would actually love to see that. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to actually see something like that. Now, when exactly would it be set? I don't know. If you want to keep it kind of close in line with the time frame of Alien Earth, if possible. Or if they would want to do a series that focus more so on the legend behind the 1715 gun, I would also be down for that. So this is pretty much a short episode. Like I said, I just want to get on and actually do an actual episode again. Like I said, I took a week off. Well, actually, it's kind of been 2 weeks actually. But I just wanted to, actually record an episode since I did kind of get behind, and I want to do better as far as getting my content out there for you guys and stuff like that, because that cannot be accepted anymore of me lacking. So whether I'm recording, a current episode, or even, going back, in the archives of older episodes and putting something else, I'm going to pretty much do better as far as getting stuff out there. So I want to thank everyone who continuously listen to Movie Talk, whether it's a part of the TV Zone podcast network, or if you're listening on YouTube on it and everything, because the YouTube channel, like I say, that is going to be more of a primary focus of as far as getting that thing going. So for anyone who listens to me, follow me, support everything that I do, definitely find the YouTube channel, JayMovieTalk over on YouTube and everything like that. Like I say, comment down below this video your thoughts about the Predator franchise, your favorite Predator film, anything that you feel you like about this franchise, or anything that I said during this episode, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I thank everyone for listening. Of course, you can follow me on social media, like I said earlier, on threads, the J Giles, as well as Instagram. The show page over on Instagram, JMT Podcast. Of course, you can find all the J Movie Talk episodes, are part of the TV Zone Podcast Network, wherever you listen to your podcast at, Spotify, Good Pods, like I said, wherever you listen to it at, just type in TV Zone Podcast Network, and you can find all the Movie Talk episodes, as well as the other shows, are part of the network as well. For Frodo, the Grand Slam podcast, 3 and Out podcast, which just celebrated episode 100, by the way. So congratulations to you, Chris, again for getting to episode 100 with that podcast. Both podcasts now have reached the century mark. and everything. So congratulations to you, my brother, once again. I was a guest over on 3 and Out to celebrate his 100th episode as well. So that episode should be out here soon. And everything like that. Thank you guys for listening once again. I'll be back for episode 359, where I will do the top 5 of my underrated 2000s horror, and everything like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this episode. So again, thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.